More and more mothers are looking for a strategy that combines healthy boundaries, natural consequences, and respect for others, which is coined into a philosophy or term called gentle parenting. As the name suggests, gentle parenting is meant to give children lots of compassionate cushion as parents lead through empathy.
Welcome to Wine and Liberations, the podcast that uncorks the world of fine wines and explores the art of living a liberated life. I am your host, affectionately known as Dee. I am a wife, mother, business owner, and I am thrilled to be one of your guides on this captivating journey.
And I am your other host, Dee Professor Bae. I am a mother, college professor, writer, and creator. Grab your wine, relax, be yourself, catch a vibe, and let us guide you as you get liberated.
So we are back with part 2. This is, I believe, episode 5.
I think it is.
Yeah, part 2 of navigating motherhood as a professional Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we got into the last episode, we talked about the birth rate and paying attention to your body when you're pregnant and making sure that you're advocating for yourself in terms of your health and your baby's health. And, we talked about some other things that were related to being Black and navigating motherhood. And so today we're going to shift a little bit and kind of talk about this new thing with gentle parenting, specifically as a professional Black woman, and provide some tips on how to balance being a professional, being a Black woman, making sure you're taking care of yourself as well as being your best self as a mother. So yeah, let's talk about that. Gentle parenting.
Let's get into it. So I am not going to go first on this because I already know my thoughts. What are your thoughts on gentle parenting, and do you utilize gentle parenting in your household?
Okay. So I'm gonna read this tidbit that I got off of OprahDaily.com, and it says more and more mothers are looking for a strategy that combines healthy boundaries, natural consequences, and respect for others, which is coined into a philosophy or term called gentle parenting. As the name suggests, gentle parenting is meant to give children lots of compassionate cushion as parents lead through empathy. So that's the official definition of gentle parenting. And it goes on to say that gentle parenting is a form of positive parenting that emphasizes understanding a child's behavior through empathy and respect, giving choices versus commands, and responding in a way that considers a child's intellectual and developmental levels. So, with that official definition of gentle parenting, I will say that I do exercise gentle parenting. I did not realize, however, that I was exercising gentle parenting. This term is fairly new. This is something that's new that has came onto the scene, and my son is 10. But based on this definition and based on how I navigate motherhood, I would say that I do have a bit of gentle parenting in the way that I do things. And the one particularly that I would say that I utilize as a mom is I allow him to have choices, make choices and certain choices, okay, with autonomy over some of those choices. So that is a part of gentle parenting that I do practice. I also allow him to come and talk to me and speak his mind, of course, in a respectful way. There are some times when I am the mother and I say, well, there are some things that you just have to do because I know what's best for you. And then there are other instances where I allow him to voice his concerns, voice his thoughts, and present me with alternatives or other options that I consider. And then we go from there in terms of what the results are going to be. So in terms of that part of gentle parenting, I do practice. And this is crazy because yesterday we were out and about, and I was with my sister as well. And my son he gets an allowance, and he's pretty much allowed to, just do whatever he wants to do with his allowance. He's able to buy things, pick things up in the stores. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever you want it. Okay, cool. And my sister was like, oh my God, you're such a gentle parent. And I was like, am I? And she was like, yeah, I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's actually cool, because he gets to get things and he gets to make these choices in his life. And so I'm guilty of practicing gentle parenting. What about you?
So I have to put this disclaimer out there first, okay? So I was raised, do as I say, not as I do.
Same.
I was raised because I said so.
Same.
And then I was raised, you just don't go back and forth. You might be able to slide one in, but that second comment is not coming because after that, it's disrespect. So I have created this new, I think, parenting. I want to say my husband and I, it's actually the Parenthood Challenge. I don't know if you ever seen it, saw it. Ooh, my grandmother would not be happy with that. I don't know if you ever saw it. It talks about the different types of parenting. I am a border of gentle parenting and Bertie Mac.
Okay.
With 4 kids, I am a strong believer. It depends on that child. My 16-year-old, you cannot gentle parent with.
Okay.
Hey, come do this. It's just, he's a product of a 19-year-old mother.
Okay.
Was still learning herself, so he is very opinionated.
Okay.
He's very much going to challenge you and prove how right he is. You can't just parent with that one. Now, okay. The others, you can talk about consequences. You can talk about feelings. You can talk about what can we have done different. We can talk about moving forward and how we won't have to go here and then how you'll be either rewarded or something but will be removed. The newer kids, that is very plausible. Mm-hmm. So when I say I am a good boarder, my 16-year-old definitely still makes the Southern roots come out. And I think it's a healthy balance because I think maybe by default, when they see how I react to one, these they're kind of safe. Mm-hmm. Me, like, oh, I'm not doing that. Like they learn from the oldest. Mm-hmm. So my last 3 are probably the best kids in the world as we function with the oldest, but I'm a mix. I like seeing it. Uh-huh. I love parents who use it. I think we need to be about more realistic when that shit is not working for your child. Mm-hmm. I have seen some parents try to gentle parent and that child needs their ass spanked. Yeah. It is what it is. Yeah. Talking to that child ain't working. You need to pop him. Yeah. I just need to be realistic of when it's not feasible for you or that child.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. If you see that it's not working and they are becoming out of control, you need to go back to the drawing board and make some decision. I think that's when you should insert your authority as a parent. I believe that there is a fine line between letting your child do whatever they want to do with this gentle parenting and then actually parenting. There are times when you have to make an executive decision as a parent and say, this is what it is, so that you are able to navigate parenthood and navigate all this other shit that we have going on.
The narrative they put out there, though, it's all yogas and stretches and namaste through the whole process. No, you need to be realistic. Like, that's not working right now. We can get back to where I can gentle parent, but at this point, I need to take the reins and I need to drive this process a little better. More of us need to have that conversation, and more of us need to tell our friends that that's not working for you in your household right now.
And I think, and I think it looks gentle parenting. I think that it looks different for everyone. So my idea of gentle parenting may look very different from your household or someone else's. So I think that's important to keep in mind too, that it's not like a one size fits all. You determine how to gentle parent. So again, there are some areas that you may be able to gentle parent with, and then there are some areas that you may not. Like if you have a child that doesn't want to clean up their room and you've tried gentle parenting, then you have to, result to something else. If you have a child that is not doing well in school or not following directions, or you're having issues in the classroom with the teacher, and you're trying to work, then you have to result to other things. So like you mentioned, it just depends on the child, depends on your household, and it depends on your situation. So everybody looks different.
Yes. I think that I that is one message I want to send over as we just record these. Like, everybody's journey is different. Everybody's definition is different. Just because it works for Catherine, does that mean it's going to work for Samantha? You have to create your own recipe. Even as we share our stories, our recipes are different. Our recipes might be similar, but it's what works for us. And we don't need to be shamed if you're not coming down eye to eye with Timmy as he walks through his emotions. That maybe that's not your parenting. I think we get so caught up in the narrative and the articles that are put out there of what it should look like. And if you're not that mommy, you feel like you're doing something wrong. No. No.
Yep. And it's important to note too that your children have personalities. These are little people. So they're not going to just fall in line. They have personalities, they have thoughts, they have feelings. And as their parent, particularly as their mother, you have to be able to recognize this personality and then parent based on that. You have a personality too. So let's not forget that part too. So don't do a disservice to yourself as a mother and as a parent when you're trying this gentle parenting. If it goes against, your personality and it starts to feel burdensome and it starts to feel like this is not working, but I'm trying, then I think you got to go back to the drawing board.
And not be even honest, like, I lack patience. My children have taught me patience. So gentle parenting me and patience made no sense, because I'm like, I asked you twice. Like, why are you still here? I don't know how to keep asking 3 or 4 times. Same thing. Hey, can you stop that? Hey, can you stop that? That's not me. But that's even me in my adult life. If you ask me what I said twice, but a third time, never mind. Worry about it. That's just me. So I think we need to acknowledge as well, not everybody has this God-given patience that they seem to put in this mother formula that you need. My mother didn't have patience. I don't have patience
either.
I mean, it's not patience in a more of a negative light, but I mean, I'll work with you to a certain point, but after that, no.
You brought up an interesting point too. When you mentioned how you were a mother at 19 versus being a mother at 36. So I think that's something good too, to recognize that as you grow as a person, your parenting style is going to change because you change and you're learning and doing different things. And your environment is very much different than you were when you were 19. You're much more stable. You're in your career, you're married. So it's much different than when you had him at 19. So it's just a whole different outlook. So that's important too. You change.
And yes. And we do talk about like growing up together. And I often think, I do acknowledge that maybe gentle parenting doesn't work on this 16-year-old because we grew up together. a relationship is very much like a sister and brother type of relationship. As I grew and I learned, he grew and he learned. So we have that open communication to the point that I'm like, so you can't talk to me like that. Like, you're a whole mother. Like, you think you're talking to your friends. Like, now we have crossed the line. So I appreciate it. But sometimes it's like, let me remind you, I am the provider in this house and I am the mother. So that sister and brother relationship is so good that sometimes I'm like, it's backfiring because you think I'm playing. And I'm dead serious.
So it's a gift and a curse because he is open and he does come to you and he feels comfortable with talking to you, which is that's great. That's a great thing.
But it's
but on the other hand, like, boy, I'm still your mama. Like, I'm not your little friend. I'm not your sister. I'm your mother. So
he is definitely my Bernie Mac side come out with him. Like, you think I'm playing, sir. So I mean, we learn. And I think he can see as I've grown and developed, and each relationship with parents and children are very different. With 4 kids, my relationships are so different, and you would think they would all be so similar, and they're not. So that determines how I parent them based on our relationship. So that's a point too to think of. Like, just because you could do that on the oldest does not mean you could do it on the youngest. You are going to have to approach them different.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you that though, because I mean, it's no manual to being a mother. Nobody really says when you have multiple kids that just because it worked with this one does not mean it's going to work with this one. And it usually doesn't. And you have to start from scratch like you've never been a parent before. So every time you're relearning yourself and you're relearning a child.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. And true. Yeah. Yeah, so let's talk about some tips with balancing being a Black mother, being a Black professional, making sure that you're taking time for yourself, as well as navigating motherhood. So what would you say one of the most important things to remember as we're navigating motherhood and navigating professional spaces and entrepreneurship and trying to put some self-care into there? What would you say one of your most important tips would be for mothers?
Mine would be to make sure you decompress before you walk into another state. So if I come in from work or from traveling, I take a shower, a couple of minutes to myself. So by the time it's time to me to address my children or my husband, I still don't have work on me, or I still don't have maybe arguments that I had with my spouse on me. You have to decompress as each state that you move in, so you don't carry one anger over to the other. I know as a single mother, it is very, very easy to carry work frustration or anger from a spouse onto your child. And we need to learn how to decompress and compartmentalize one situation from the next. So my tip is decompress before you jump into that mother mode. Homework will go a lot smoother. You won't be yelling, what is 2 + 2?
Johnny had 2 apples and 2 more apples. How much apple did he?
Even dinner, like, you cook dinner a little more happier. You're not like cooking it fast or burning the food. So I think that's my only mainly tip, is to decompress first. I just started adding exercise into my regimen. I know that's easier said than done for a lot of people. But maybe even sliding 15 minutes of yoga in there before the day ends or begins. I mean, we can sacrifice 15 minutes. We can make that happen somewhere. So add some type of meditation, some type of centering practice into your day. What's your tips?
I would definitely say, number one, create a schedule or a routine. I think routine is very, very, very important when you're navigating all of these spaces. And of course, routine looks different for everybody. And there are times when you get off track of your routine. But I think if you have a routine in place, that makes it much easier putting your children on schedule, so that if they're in bed by 8, 9 o'clock, you have you have that hour window where you can come down and you could take some time for yourself and kind of journal or reevaluate your day or whatever that looks like. And then I would also say, don't compare yourself to other mothers. I think that's a big one. Because again, everybody's parenting looks different, motherhood looks different on everybody. So I think it's important not to compare what motherhood looks like for you to other people, and know that it's a journey. So it's going to look very different every day, because life is lifing. And know that it's okay if you fell off track today, if you felt like you didn't, put your best foot forward, or you gave it all you had and it still wasn't enough. Just know that it is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely say that.
It's always, social media makes even mothering more of a competition, because you mentioned that. Just because she posts her pictures all the time with her kids does not mean that's how that picture is really truly painted.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't fall into the facade of what motherhood looks like. Just because you don't post your child all the time does not love your child any less.
Yes. Yes. And don't think because you're not. A lot of times I see with social media too, there's this, you got to have these big massive parties, you got to be taking your kids on these vacations, you have to be doing something with your children every weekend, or else you're not being that mother. Yeah, so don't look at that. And if you have a weekend where you're like, we're not leaving the house, I'm staying home this weekend, we're just gonna relax, that's okay.
Yes.
That's okay. If you want to throw that party in the backyard with some cupcakes and some hot dogs and some hamburgers, that's okay too.
Yes.
That's okay.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. So
okay. Own your own motherhood.
Yes.
Be your unique self in your motherhood journey. That is what that's about.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And make sure you're taking that time out for yourself and not allowing motherhood to be your whole identity, being able to separate that and make time for yourself. So I think that's also very, very important.
Great. Great way to end. Ooh, are we both drinking rose? What are you drinking?
Yes, rose.
I have rose too, so.
Here's to motherhood.